going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Pozza podcast. We are back this week, top of the league again, after Inter travels to Genoa to the Luigi Ferrari, one of the coolest and best places to play in the Serie A. Host to probably the best derby in all of Italian football, the Derby della Lanterna. Sorry for my pronunciation there, but the derby match against Sampdoria and Genoa, it's one of the best stadiums in all of Italian football. It's a tough place to play. Inter travels there after Udinese beats Napoli 1-0, after Sassuolo climbs back from being 1 up to allowing Milan to go 2-1 up. Sassuolo climbed back to get a draw 2-2 versus Milan, paving the way for an Inter side to finish the match day, the match week, whatever you want to call it, top of the league. So there was a lot to play for here. And this is a game, a match, opportunity, a scenario where Inter, we have seen in the past year and a half, 2 seasons, crumble with this pressure. So there was a lot to play for in this match. And Inter travels on the road, puts on an absolutely stellar first half performance, and then in classic Inter Pazza fashion, gives us a heart attack, but still comes away with all 3 points. We're going to dive into the match here like we always do. But before we dive in, please make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all of that. Also, check out again, I'm on this week with Interviews podcast. I'll leave a link in the description for them. This time I was with Gianmarco Gianni instead of Alessandro, and we talked a lot of different stuff, a lot of important things about Inter that I'm not going to necessarily cover on this. So give it a look, give them guys a follow, support them as well. And like I said, it's always nice to have just not my voice. So you give them a listen, you'll hear Johnny there, his perspective on some different things, and hear us talk about what we see from Inter right now and what we would like to see moving forward. So check it out. Like I said, I'll put it in the description. But diving back into this match, Inter versus Genoa started out with a lineup of Jan Sommer in goal. It's the hot topic. It's the thing people talk about the most, our goalkeeping situation. Kivu, yet again, and throughout this whole season, has kept his faith in Jan Sommer. You know, us fans, us Interisti, a lot of times think we know better and decide and can see what we would like to see. And a lot of people want to see Josep Martinez, but there's a reason why Christian Kivu is sticking with Jan Sommer in goal, regardless of what you guys think about him and if you think he's committing errors or not, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Kivu is sticking with his man. So, I mean, take that how you will. That's just the reality of it. And Jan Sommer is the number one choice goalkeeper. We have Bisek, Akanji, and Bastoni making up the back line. Luis Enrique, Barella, Zelensky, Sucic, Carlos Augusto making up that five across the mid. Interesting that no Mkhitaryan. If we would have a different manager, probably we would see, a manager we've had in seasons past. We'd probably be seeing Mkhitaryan instead of Sucic in this lineup. So hats off to Kivu for making one bold decision there by bringing in Sucic instead of Mkhitaryan. And then Lautaro Martinez and Pio Esposito up top. Again, another decision. This is a big match. Kivu going into it had to have known that we could finish this match week top of the league. And he chooses to trust Pio and Sucic, two youngsters. So really awesome stuff. Good to see Kivu trusting the youngsters after midweek. A lot of people criticizing him for continuing to go with the old guard. So good response from Christian Kivu. And like I said in the build up of this episode, the first half performance here from Inter may be one of the best, if not the best, first half or just 45 minutes of football we've seen from Inter, specifically from our captain and vice captain, Lautaro Martinez and Nicolo Barella. I thought Barella had a absolute world class first half. I think you could couple that with saying Lautaro Martinez had an absolute, I wouldn't say maybe world class, but just class first half performance as well. Ending with a goal is to put a cherry on top there for Lautaro. But it was just a great performance from those two in the first half. And Barella in particular, we'll talk about him here for a second. It's been a season that's maybe been a struggle for Barella. He hasn't contributed as many goals as we would like to see from the midfield, but there's been really good performances this season from Barella, and I think people criticizing him is a little unjust. I think, we would like to see more goal production, obviously, and that's something that he needs to bring to the table. But when you watch a performance like this today, you can see everything else that he brings to the table. And his balls over the top were just absolutely world class today. Pio had two or three opportunities. Now, granted, they were tough opportunities. I'm not blaming Pio for not putting him away, but they were set up by wonderful balls by Barella. The second goal into Carlos Augusto, which led to the beginning of Lautaro's goal. Just everything kind of dictated and went through Barella today. And you can even expand that out in the first half. The entire midfield three between Barella, Zelensky, and Sucic absolutely dominated and played wonderful today in that first half in the midfield. It was great to see. And I think that was really the difference between the two halves, whereas we fell off maybe a little in the midfield in the second half, and Genoa began to, pressure us and make things a little unnerving. I think it was because the midfield kind of lost their superiority on the match. But that take nothing away from the first half performance that Barella put in. It was absolutely wonderful. Didn't mean to get carried away there. We missed to talk about the goal from Jan Bisek in the 6th minute, and it's official. I have become a proud bisexual. He is something refreshing to see, and I'm glad that Kivu decided to not keep him in that center back position, to move him to the right center back position, because we see what he can offer moving forward as that right center back and supplement the attack. Not in the way that Bastoni a lot of the times has on that left back. He offers something different. He's a better dribbler. He doesn't have the passing capabilities, but he can dribble. And honestly, he likes to take his man on sometimes. And it's refreshing. It gives the defense something new to think about coming in. And it was a great effort in the build up to that. It was a poor ball from Pio, but Lautaro, the hunger, that's what his world class ability is, that hunger that no one else in Serie A has. No one else in world football really has. It's this hunger and this desire, this grinta, the buzzword that we always use for Lautaro, his desire to chase that ball down when some strikers maybe would have let it run out, get back on the ball, lay it off to Bisek, turns his man, does a little, you know, cut back behind him, kind of move, Cruyff turn, whatever you want to call it, shoots with his left foot, his weaker foot. It was a weaker effort, and somehow it trickles into the near post for a goal. Inter up 1-0. Obviously, it was not the best of keeping displays from Leali there for Genoa. It was an absolute shocker that should have been taken care of. But make no mistake about it, Inter had been the better side and should have been up 1-0 at that point. And Inter just continued after that. We didn't take our foot off the gas in that first half, and we're the dominant side throughout the whole first half. Um, and it was spurred on by Lautaro and Barella, the touches, the passes, Lautaro pressing. I think the commentator even said early on in the second half at some point, like, man, look at Lautaro. He gets paid. He's the highest paid player in the league. You'd excuse him if he took a play off, but look at the 40-yard run that he just did to chase a man down. It's it's unbelievable the effort this guy gives, and that's why he is the captain, capitano, is performances and effort like that. And ultimately, when you have effort and performance like that, you're going to get rewarded. And he's the man on form right now, and he was rewarded towards the end of the first half. Like I mentioned earlier, it was a beautiful ball over the top from Barella to Carlos Augusto. Somehow it finds its way. Lautaro, it was a layoff from Augusto into the path of Lautaro, and he cuts into the box. Sucic was there. I don't know if it was a purposeful 1-2. Really, it looked clumsy all around, but the ball ended up in Lautaro's left foot. And he is the man that misses sitters but scores absolute worldies. And this was a definitely class goal with his left foot. Keeper knew nothing about it. It was just a quick one time. He didn't take a touch. It was a snapshot, whatever you want to call it. And it's what Lautaro is great at. And the fact that he is on form right now, the Liverpool match, we lost 1-0. the he still had the opportunity to score. It was a great save by Alisson in the first half off Lautaro's header. It was a world class save, and Lautaro, if he would have scored that, we're looking at a guy who scored I think 6 goals in the last 7 matches, something like that. He's the man on form. He's got an assist. He got the assist today too. He's involved in everything Inter is doing moving forward, and it's good to see Lautaro being back on form right now. We live and die by Lautaro, I think, and his goal scoring output. And so to have him playing the way he's playing right now is very encouraging signs for Inter moving forward. And yeah, we ended the first half up 2-0. It looked like this Inter side was sorry, we ended the half up 2-0. It looked like this Inter side was cruising. And we come out in the second half and it looks like the same old, same old. First 5 minutes or so, Inter still dominating the match. But as Inter fans know, we know not to think everything is sunshines and daisies because it can change in an instant. And it did for Inter in the second half. Inter gives up a goal in the 76th minute, I want to say. Let me check that real quick. 68th minute. Vitinha. And it's one of those goals. The ball gets played over the top, another transition goal. How many times on this podcast, guys, have we talked about transition goals and how we have to find a way to shut that out? If we find a way to limit teams on the transition, I'd mentioned this on the interviews podcast that I just was on, and maybe it's the way we play. We like to dictate games now. Under Inzaghi, at certain spells, we sat back in a shell and allowed pressure to come to us, and we absorbed it and hit on the counter. Towards the last season of under Inzaghi, and it seems like transitioning in under Kivu as well, we like to have the ball and dictate the game that way. And it leaves you exposed when you're just constantly in the attacking third, recycling the ball left to right, bringing more players into the attack from defense, from midfield, trying to do something different to break down a team, and you leave yourself exposed. So maybe that is the issue is the way we're playing currently and the way that we like to play. Maybe we need to resort back to that low block. I don't know, but it is an issue letting up these transition goals. If you guys have an idea, let me know down in the comments what you think. But it's a ball that gets sent over the top. Bastoni doesn't know whether to come and help Akanji or not, leaving Akanji 2v1 with Vitinha and Ekuban for Genoa. And it's going to be a difficult situation for any defender there, being 2v1. Vitinha, though, makes a great touch, an absolute class touch. It was so good watching it live time. I thought there was no way that the ball could get played like that in his path on a touch without it hitting his hand. I thought he handled the ball. And from the reverse angle, no, it was just an absolute class touch with the outside of his boot, directing it into his path. He rounds Jan Sommer and which leads into Genoa getting a goal back, only being down 2-1. And again, that guy, like I said earlier, we're going to mention Jan Sommer. A lot of people are criticizing him here, and you guys know that I am not on the train of criticizing Jan Sommer. There's a lot more than just Jan Sommer that is wrong with this team and why we are leaking up goals. I know if you look statistically that, he's giving up goals, worst percentage in the league, whatever it is. Statistics don't always paint a picture. And for people to say that Jan Sommer here is the reason why we conceded this goal, I think is an absolute joke. Like I've said before, it's an easy argument and a safe argument to just criticize the keeper when a goal is conceded. Obviously, he's the last person back there. But sometimes, there's more than just the keeper that leads to a goal being conceded. Yes, he's the last man back there. But what about the defending there? What about the transition where it's 2v1 or Akanji, Bastoni doesn't come over? Like, how is that not more of a worrying thing, a concern for people than Jan Sommer getting rounded? Every keeper in world football gets rounded by a player. Like Oliver Kahn, I'd mentioned this. Oliver Kahn in the 2002 World Cup got rounded by a Ronaldo who wasn't as fit. Even though he did score a lot of goals in that tournament, he wasn't the Ronaldo from '98 that was rounding keepers left and right. This is a Ronaldo whose knees were shot at this point, wasn't fit, didn't even know if he was going to make it back to the 2002 World Cup. Oliver Kahn, the keeper for Germany at this time, widely regarded as one of the best keepers in the world, got rounded by that Ronaldo. Like, it happens to keepers. And again, if he comes out too early or too aggressively and takes down Vitinha there in the box, then you guys are going to be calling for him, yelling at him, calling him an idiot. If he stays on his line, it gives Vitinha an easy opportunity to score on a 1v1 where he can just slot it into any side, and you guys are yelling at him. It's like, what does Jan Sommer have to do in that situation for you guys to finally be like, hey, maybe it's not just Jan Sommer here? There's a lot more going on. I think it's just such a cop out, a lazy argument. Like, I'm not going to go on for too much longer. Maybe Jan Sommer could have done a little more. I don't disagree with that, but to just literally be like, "Oh, Jan Sommer, he's done. Can't believe it's in my eyes. I don't want to say pathetic because that seems mean, but it's just lazy to me. There's so much more going on here, so much more that Jan Sommer, like I said, no keeper, in my opinion, is going to do any better there. Maybe Donnarumma, maybe Thibaut Courtois, maybe those guys that are literally the top 1% of keep Allison, maybe those three are doing something differently there. But 99 times out of 100, when Vitinha takes that touch and is on through one-on-one versus Jan Sommer, it's a goal. So the fact that people are calling him out for this is just laughable, in my opinion. Like I said, that goal, Yildiz' second goal against Juve, that was a Jan Sommer mistake. There's another one I'm struggling to think about right now this season, a Jan Sommer mistake. But every time we concede a goal, it's a Jan Sommer mistake to some people. And it's just not true. It's lazy. It's very lazy. There's so much more going on within this team and within this side that needs to be addressed. And there's a reason why Christian Kivu, the manager who's got a team right now, top of the league, is sticking with Jan Sommer back there. You think this guy whose job is on the line week in and week out is going to stick with a guy that's not the best for the job right now? Like, just use your heads here. What are you thinking? Kivu trusts Jan Sommer. We are top of the league. Now, statistics are saying Jan Sommer, blah, blah, blah. Statistics. When does statistics dominate what dictates actually happens in a match? How many times Barcelona statistically has 80% possession, 20 shots, 15 of them on goal, and loses 1-0? Like, statistics don't paint the whole picture, people. Jan Sommer, he's not a terrible keeper. And people saying Handanovic, never made mistakes as bad as this. This is worse than Handanovic. Are you kidding me? Do you really not remember Samir Hananovic's mistakes against Torino? Two different matches against Torino. Samir Handanovic cost Inter legitimately 3 points. And those are just two matches in that season. There was at least 4 or 5 where Samir Handanovic was a Sampdoria, where he let the ball trickle. He saved it and kicked it back in. Like, don't have memory loss or recency bias, whatever you want to call it, when trying to call out Jan Sommer here. He has made some mistakes. The whole team has made a lot of mistakes. Hakan Çalhanoğlu makes a lot of mistakes. He scored 6 goals. Yes, how many of them from the spot? Was it 3 and 3? 3 from the spot, 3 from outside. He hasn't played great, but we forgive him just because he gets on the score sheet. Okay, so if we lose 3-1 and Hakan has a dud, but he scores that 1 goal, everybody's like, "Oh, Hakan, he's still great." Like, use your eyes. Don't look at statistics all the time. That's the end of that rant. But Inter, in classic Pazzi Inter fashion, goes down 2 to, or allows a goal to sneak in 2-1. Genoa for the rest of the match has us kind of on our back foot. A lot of the subs Christian Kivu brings on didn't really have an impact. Let's see who we had here. Turam coming on for Pio. I feel like I would have rather seen Boni. Mkhitaryan coming on for Sucic. Probably the smart decision there. Fratesi is not going to come on and really do anything defensively for you. It just sucks that we have to see Mkhitaryan come on. Um, I'm off the Mkhitaryan train. I know last time I came on, I missed the Como match and the Liverpool match recording after. You guys who listen to that one probably were like, "Oh man, Travis, he's turned a different leaf. He's actually a Mkhitaryan fan." I never thought I would see that at any point in my life, and I was blinded. I was mistaken. I about puked when I saw Mkhitaryan today when they showed him sitting on the bench. Get that guy out of my club. Don't want him anymore on the sidelines. Don't want him starting any match. Yeah, I'm not a Mkhitaryan fan anymore. But in that situation, I could see why Kivu brought him on. And then Andy Doof comes on for Lautaro, Stefan De Vrij on for Zielinski later on. We ultimately end up getting all 3 points. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. All 3 points heading into the Supercopa, top of the league again. We cannot relinquish this. We are top of the league. And like I told you guys last time or two, whenever we get into January, beginning of February, that's when we'll actually see the league table take form. That's like the true gauge of the league table is the end of January, beginning of February. So what we're seeing right now, it's kind of forming into that situation. Roma has started dropping points. Bologna has started dropping points. Juve is still Juve, thank goodness. And there's getting that little bit of a gap in between Milan, Inter, Napoli, and the rest of the league. Still, I still think there's a little bit where Inter in the next month and a half can separate themselves even more from Milan and Napoli and really take a hold of this title race moving forward. We have coming up next the Supercopa against Bologna, which for me sit everybody Bastoni, Di Marco, Zielinski, Barella, Lautaro, Turam, anybody, Sommer, sit them all, play the Primavera. This is not a trophy I really care about. You know, last year, Conceição won it, was smoking cigars in the locker room, and then he got sacked a month later. This is a trophy no one cares about. And it's in Saudi Arabia. Like, these are two more matches that we shouldn't be playing in, especially now that with the Champions League and how it's shaped up, we might not get that top 8 bye. So we're going to add two more Champions League matches to this season. We don't need anybody to come out injured from this useless Mickey Mouse trophy. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, in the final against Milan, Hakan got hurt. We had to bring Aslani in. That changed the match. We ended up losing after that. But Hakan, we missed him for another month and a half after that. And you can maybe pinpoint that as being one of the reasons why we struggled to win our Scudetto last season, or we failed to win the Scudetto last season. And so for me, like against Bologna, play Bovo, play Koki, play Spinace, play anybody, let Thomas Palacios, let Martinez, let these guys, Darmian, who should be coming back, let these guys get minutes and let these players who have been killing themselves, not only for Inter, but on their international breaks as well, let them get a rest. Because the league, we have important matches coming up after this. We have Atalanta after the Supercopa going into January, then Bologna in the league, sandwiched in between Bologna, or on the other side of a Parma match midweek after Bologna, we have Napoli. So three big matches: Atalanta, Bologna, Napoli within the next four league matches, which really could help dictate, like I said, that end of January, early February kind of time when the table really takes form. Because if you look at Milan's next schedule, they have uh, Napoli, obviously, in the Supercoppa, but then they have Verona, Cagliari, Genoa, and Fiorentina. So four pretty easy matches for Milan coming up in the league. And then if you look at Napoli, Napoli have, after they play Milan in the Supercoppa, Cremonese, Verona, us, and then Parma. So other than us, they have Verona, Cremonese, Parma in their next 4 league matches. We need to take the league more seriously than Supercopa. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think below. Do you think we need to rest or actually go for a trophy? Do you think it's important for Kivu to get a trophy in his first season? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Last thing we're going to touch on, since I didn't get to come on midweek and discuss this Liverpool match, we're going to talk about just briefly because you guys have all heard everything. It's all beating a dead horse midweek against Liverpool, the referee decision. And it's never a penalty, guys. Obviously, the trolls commenting under post saying, it's a clear cut penalty, shouldn't have pulled him. That's a joke. That's a joke of a take. You see and you hear everybody saying you're going to have to call a spot kick after every corner kick if you're going to make a call like that. Even earlier in the match, Jan Bisek was getting held like that in the box on a corner kick. Exact same thing, and the referee didn't call a penalty. And it's an absolute robbery for Inter and this German referee to make a decision like that, to even go to VAR. The fact that he on the field said no goal or no penalty, the play went on, and then they had to go look at it at VAR is an absolute joke. And it is a robbery of the highest order. I'm so sick and tired of the freaking English Premier League teams. Had to catch myself there. Still might have slipped, but I think I caught myself without cussing there. These English Premier League teams, or as I like to call them, the English Super League teams, this just English aura of football that is in world football right now is so annoying and pisses me off so much that it makes me almost not even want to watch football anymore. Anywhere I go out here in the States, you go out to a bar, the only thing that's on football wise is English Super League. Anytime you read a comment under any player that's playing good outside of the English Super League, any of the comments are, oh, we can buy this player. He needs to be coming in to play in the Premier League, blah, blah, blah. Well, the arrogance, the audacity. Lautaro Martinez scores. I'm sure it will go on CBS Golasso. Look under the comments. You'll see some idiot from Arsenal saying, oh, Arsenal should buy him 100 million in the summer. The audacity that these Super League fans have. What makes it even worse is that they came out when the English Super League was announced, or no, sorry, when the European Super League was announced, they came out in droves. The fans, you're gonna ruin football, blah 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 blah. Money is killing the sport. You're gonna kill it with all this money. And then the audacity after the Super League disbanded to come out and say we saved football, and then to spend Arsenal 105 million on Declan Rice, a midfielder, 120 million on Victor Gyökeres, who wouldn't even get into Inter starting lineup, 100 million for Eze, who's a good player. That's 300 million on 3 players right there. Inter's entire starting lineup against Liverpool this past weekend, I think, were bought for like 110 million euros. Liverpool bought Ekitike for 110 million euro. Like Florian Wirtz for that much. And the audacity to say you save football, English Premier League fans, English Super League, it's a joke. And then to act like you're such a superior league, and then like UEFA, obviously, I'm not saying that there's any match fixing or anything like that, but come on, that is a joke of a penalty give up. Going to VAR to look at that is a joke. It's an absolute joke. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'm so sick and tired of English. And it's like I said, it's the English aura of football. If you watch the English commentary of that Liverpool Inter match, if you watch any English commentary on a Champions League match of an Italian team, it is despicable how they speak about Italian teams, Italian clubs, Italian players. It's absolutely despicable. Anytime an Italian player gets fouled, oh, I think he went down a little soft there. That didn't look like there was much in it, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it happens. Yeah, it does. But then just imagine Nicolo Barella doing what Florian Wirtz did against Liverpool and we get a penalty. Could you imagine? Just imagine it. What that announcer, him and Rob Green, what they would have done, what they would have said. There was at one point, I think it was Turam, brilliant tackle on either Gravenberch, Zoboslai, one of the midfielders, won the ball. The referee called it for a foul. Obviously, a terrible. The commentator says, well, yeah, Turam got the ball, but there might have been an element of a sandwich there. And that's why the referee called it. Are you serious? This is the commentary that we as Italian football fans are forced to listen to. It's a joke. It's this English aura of football that I cannot stand. And that's ultimately what I took from this Liverpool match. Yes, it was a terrible penalty, but just the arrogance and the stupidity and just the overall, I don't even know what the word is. If you could tell, it's just irritating me how much I hate the English Super League and the fact that Liverpool were gifted an out. Inter with a point there. We're safe. I think 100% we're qualified for the round of 32, whatever, but the next round of Champions League. Now we have to get a point from these next two matches. We're still not safe. If we got a point that match, we would be safe because I think the elimination line is at 6. We would have been at 13. So the elimination line, there's no way they could have gotten up to 13 points. And for that to potentially make it where we don't go through, it's a joke. It is a joke in every sense of the word. Whether or not you think it's a penalty, it's not. But the fact that that decided the match in the 88th minute, that's what makes it a joke. So that's all I wanted to come on here and say. That's what I wanted to end with, guys. We'll say, though, that we are top of the league. So we'll end on some positivity. Inter, top of the league where we rightfully belong. We still got a long way, guys. Long season, but things are trending in the right direction. So appreciate all the love, support, everything. Again, remember, please like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And as always, Forza Inter.